Okay, here's another one. Olive Your Heart, Carlson olive oil. We have again the rectangular space. This composition does run off the page. We do have nice margins for our text, but again, this is an open composition. We do have items that are falling off the page. We do not have margins that are holding us in. This particular one, I'm not so worried about the space, the line, the shapes. The size and scale, however, is what is a little more interesting on this one. We have a good size headline. We have a lovely image, but it's receding. It is not so much our main attraction as is the bottle of olive oil, which is huge. I mean, it's the same size as the woman, okay? I mean, look at the size of that. That is a large bottle. It's well placed because it's off to the side. You can still see her. She's tossing salad. We have this really important product, though, that is by scale much larger than what anything else is in that photograph. Color. We have a limited palette. We are not looking at anything that's nearly as colorful as our Mrs. Dash was. We don't have as limited a palette as we had with the Sistine ad, which was blue, aqua, and yellow. But we are limited. We have neutrals on here. We have grays, but we have red and green. Red and green are complements. We have mostly the green. Why green? Because of the olives. So we are making a statement about the olive. We are using the same or similar, very close in color to the image that's on the olive oil bottle. We have those same types of greens repeating here in the lettuce that is on the salad forks, the green that is being used up across the top for the little different icons on there for the different flavorings that you can purchase. We use the red because it is contrast, and there's a little bit of browns and yellows in here, which tie in nicely to the gold that's printed on the label of the jar. The gold is part of their logo, so it is repeated here. Also used on this bar that gives a link to their web page as well as their phone number. So see how the use of color helps to bring all of this together. We also have a yellow in the background. I'm assuming that would probably be a jar of pasta, which would tie in very well with the use of olive oil. So everything else in here is pretty much a neutral gray. There's a little bit of red behind her hanging on the wall. We don't know even what that is. We have a use of depth on here because although she is in focus, the most prominent and clear item on the page is going to be the bottle of olive oil, and everything that is behind her. So we have foreground, she's middle ground, and background. Our background is blurred. The colors are muted, the background is blurred. Foreground, middle ground, and background. Let's take a look at this one. I've never been really happy with the way this particular ad is put together. I find that there is very little contrast in here. It's a very pale ad. Our values are very light. We don't have a good contrast going on here. In fact, I've had several students that commented that this is actually a difficult ad to read. This is a light yellow, or sorry, this is a light green. We have yellows. The yellows come off of both the logo as well as the coloring of the product. The green is being used on the product. There is a whole line of these things that use different colors to differentiate what the content is. Green is for turkey and with sausage and cheese. The other products in the line use different colors. We don't see the other products on here, so we don't know that unless you see that in the grocery store. But the value on this is not, it's very low contrast. We do have some darks because we do have the logo and the product name that is printed on the package. This is the image of the packaging itself, and it is the only thing that actually comes out dark and stands out on this particular ad. I find this one is put together very weak because of the colors. We do, however, have foreground, middle ground, or foreground, background. We do have scale because we have the product itself that is out of the packaging that is very large. In fact, it looks much larger than the package that sits right behind it, so the emphasis is on the product itself. This again is a closed composition. It has wide margins. It does not really have anything except the background that could possibly lead you off the page, but those lines are not directional and they really don't take you anywhere. We have a nice circular type motion with arrows pointing you towards the top and bottom of the product. Here again, another directional, directing you to the turkey, sausage, and cheese in between the two frittatas. So there is use of cues on that. And we're going to take a look at one more, which is this Coors ad. We have the only thing in full color is the product and the logo that's running off the side of the page. This is an open composition. We are using one large visual on there, that large image. We have a much smaller headline. We do not have any other copy that is on here. We have in the lower right hand corner, we do have the product. The image is chosen to be placed in grayscale. It is a black and white image. We have use of the red as contrast. The red because they've pulled the color off of the Coors can. Where the logo is in red, we do have full color on that product. We have foreground, background. The logo actually wraps through and around the product because you can see where the product comes through, although the start of the C is actually over the can, although the O falls behind the can. And so we are mixing our layers. We have foreground, middle ground, background. The product is much larger than in scale than what it would be if we're on the same plane with the images of the people. So we are playing with scale, we are playing with value. We have high contrast between the darks and the bright whites. We have simulated texture, the texture of the can. We have the texture of the people's clothing and their skin. We are limited again on the color. We have our focal point is the volunteers, but we quickly move to the text and to the can that we are being directed to by having that logo on its side and wrapping itself around the can. Oh, one more. I've always liked the way this ad was put together. This is an open composition. We have lots of things that are directing you coming off the page moving you around. We have a lot of good color in here. There isn't anything that is particularly linear. We are utilizing the entire space. The shapes and forms, we have a mix of organic shapes as well as we have the bottles which would be more geometric. We have a variation of size and scale because we do have a foreground and background. We have the person in the foreground with the tree picking the bottles off of the tree. We do have a background image. We have primarily the use of orange and blues, but we do have this odd person standing in the background wearing pink. The brightness of that pink helps to offset and balance this image. If we did not have that image there, this would not be well balanced. That is purposely put in there to help with balancing this image out. We have a lot of movement on this because of the flowing lines. Yes, it's not lines as in drawn lines, but we have this movement along here of all of the bottles being hung in a row. We have more bottles that are being hung here. They drop down towards the end. They just round off and fall. Not dropping, but there is that movement. There is movement down following this person's arm. From up at the top, we go through the headline and move to the body. The body changes angles and runs this way. And we have the bottles that the person is handling that drop down, and they point to this right here, which leads you off the page. So you travel through the entire page, starting from the top, looking from the images at the top of the bottles. We read the headline, we follow the arm down, we follow the bottles down, we get the line of the body, following that down the line off of the bottles, we go to the logo, and we have looked at the entire image. And I'm going to leave you guys with that. Sorry for splitting this into two, but I did want to get through both of these.